Mr. Danielson will be filming us today. So thank you for being here, Bruce.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. How you doing this evening? My name is Mark Blackburn. This is Denise Tucker. We're both executive members of a newly found nonprofit organization called Establishing Sustainable Connections. And with Escape, what we try to do is we try to really engage our community in proactive conversations and dialogues on race, ethnicity, diversity components, and all of the above. What we do is we have platforms of empowerment for individuals in our city to get closer to one another and to, again, establish those sustainable connections. Just wanted to give you input on a great opportunity to learn and understand our Muslim brothers and sisters in terms of their faith. We have a great program coming on Thursday night. That is Thursday, October 20th, at the Downtown Library in Meeting Room A, and it starts at 6:45. And just a nice panel of the experience our Muslim brothers and sisters have in Sioux Falls and what we can do to be proactive and dispelling some of the stereotypes that nationwide we hear and we try to understand, not understand. So this is a great opportunity for the public. It's open to the public. We'll encourage each and every one of you to come and attend and engage in some good dialogue to help our city move forward and be proactive. Thank you very much for your time.
You bet. Mark, Denise, thank you very much as well. Appreciate it. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome.
Robert Colby, Sioux Falls. We're going through the election process here, and there's a lot of things going on, and a lot of us are mulling over our choices. I have a sister that's a diehard Trump fan, and she's my baby sister. But if somebody would have said to her what has been recorded as our candidate for president would have said, why, being a baby sister, he would have had a very flat nose, and the second thing that would have happened, he'd have been on the floor in a fetal position, groaning, and then I probably would have gone to church as he would have and asked for forgiveness for the endeavor. It's hard for us, many of us, to try to figure out who are we going to vote for, and I thought probably the best way to look at it is we all have weird families. Which one of the two political candidates for president would you like to have show up at your family reunion and know that they weren't going to give you any money? That's worth thinking about. But all politics being local, I happen to think of something that went with this, and I'm here to kind of promote that the city put into its future budget the construction of this archives building that has been thought about now for the better part of 30 years, because some of us are getting a little long on the tooth, and we might have some things that would go well in that particular collection. And I brought along a piece here. But this is special. It's not because it was a campaign shirt of mine. It's signed by Al Gore, Bill Clinton, Elizabeth Dole, George Bush, Dan Quayle, George S. Mickelson, Larry Pressler, and somewhere down here is a guy by the name of Mike Wagner. Anyhow, all this was collected in Minnehaha County. At one point, if nothing else, we were probably the navel of political endeavor in the United States, or we thought we were. But this is something that ought to be in the collection of our fine archive building. I was at a presentation the other day, and after looking at this, I thought, well, it's better than I could put it on eBay, and it would probably garner a fair amount of money. But at a meeting I was at, Teddy Roosevelt had a great quote that I think we all need to take to heart. The opposite of progress is Congress.
Ms. Colby, thank you. Appreciate it. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? David, welcome.
Greetings. My name is David Sokaitis, and I'm here to talk to you today about push bumpers, whatever those happen to be. So first we ought to figure out what they are. It's a little thingy that you stick on the front of a police car so that you can push other things around. Now, from what I can tell, they're pretty common on the Sioux Falls Police Department, but not very common for the County Sheriff's Department. So let's get a picture out and take a look. That's a push bumper. It's a metal frame, it goes on the front of a car. It's not soft and comfy, it's hard and bumpy, and it'll protect the front of your car if you bash into something. Okay, so you can see that they're pretty common here in Sioux Falls Police Force. This is, I took this picture just a few blocks from here down on Minnesota Avenue. But County Sheriff, hey, I guess they don't need them. All right, so let's try to figure out what they're good for. Well, if you're gonna be in a police car and you need to push somebody else's car out of the way, your car will be safe. If you bash into a deer in downtown Sioux Falls, your car will be safe. I've talked to a couple of police officers and they say they never use these things. So I don't know what we have them for. Now, I've got a couple of minor concerns about these push bumpers, and that's just, you know, it's money. Like, if we never use them, why bother? Why spend the money? Why increase maintenance costs and all that kind of stuff? But the real concern is all about accidents. Now, if you look at modern vehicles, when they smash into stuff, they crumble. And they do that so that everybody's safer. If you accidentally bash into, say, a pedestrian, you want a nice, smooth contour in the front of the car so the pedestrian might be able to get back up again. If you bash into the side of a car, you don't want to make holes in the other car. You just want to dent it nice and uniformly so that the people inside the other car are a little bit safer. Well, now that's the way that cars are designed, but these push bumpers totally invalidate that design by putting something hard and pokey on the front of a car. And you've got an increase of death for any kind of accidents. I came across a quote in Wikipedia that said in Europe they cause a certain number of deaths and serious accidents. So, you know, I don't see what we have these things for. They're a risk. And I don't, you know, if you don't use them, what's the point? So again, like, what's the point? I guess if you're on the police force, you'll say, I need it to keep my car safe. But motivation is different from rhetoric. Maybe the real motivation is this be tough kind of attitude on the part of the police. They want to be strong and aggressive and dominant. And, you know, there's this whole militarization of police going on. And, you know, it's not a tank and it's not an armored personnel carrier, but it's still more militaristic than this nice, soft, relatively comfortable bumper on a car. So I guess that's the motivation. But what's the point? They're not cost effective, for one. Now, if you have 10 cars or 20 cars with these things, that's maybe, you know, $500, $1,000 a piece. And if one car gets damaged, would have been damaged without it, that's cost less to fix the one car that would have been damaged than to outfit your whole police force with these somewhat dangerous devices. And as usual, I get to make a recommendation, and that is to mellow out, reform things a little bit. And you can, like you are city councilors, you are free to amend the city budget such that new purchases do not include push bumpers. So that's my recommendation. Make that amendment. And you're also free to amend the city budget to take the ones that you have and get rid of them and make the roads safer, because you don't need them, don't use them. All right. And with that, hey, good evening.
Thank you, David. Anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome. Sir, come on up. Scott, go ahead, sir.
Scott Arisman, Sioux Falls. Just to kind of piggyback on what Bob said there, it's important. I hope everyone goes out and votes, or if they haven't already. There's 10 very important amendments on the ballot that we need to vote on in legislative districts and county commission and some other stuff. Unfortunately, the presidential race in South Dakota really doesn't matter to us. But I know a lot of people get excited about it, and it always makes me laugh. You know, last municipal election, 12%, the registered voters showed up to vote for the actual people who determine who pay most of our taxes and make most of our laws. But for some reason, voting for the president seems to be more important, even though that vote doesn't really matter. But please go and vote. I wanted to say I've been watching a lot of discussion, a lot of news media. Our indoor pool is finally here, and it's fantastic. And I went and toured it. It's wonderful. It's $24 million. It's going to cost $1.5 million a year to be there. I've accepted this. I hope everybody buys a pool pass. The more people using that pool, the less I have to subsidize it. And I say, go out there and get them. It's done. The pool is built. So I don't understand, now that the pool is finished and it's there, it's not going anywhere, we're not going to close it, we're going to subsidize it for several years, get it going, that we still have to peddle the same falsehoods that we peddled during the election, where there wasn't an indoor pool on the ballot. And that's the one thing that I've been hearing lately, that there was an indoor pool on the ballot. There's no indoor pool on the ballot. We voted against an outdoor pool. That's it. The only people that decided that we had an indoor pool, a $24 million expenditure, was the mayor, the city council at the time, and the Parks Board. The citizens didn't cast one single vote for an indoor pool. Let's correct that right now. Second thing I'd like to correct. We do have debt from the pool. We took I believe a $13 million payback from our levy bonds. We took that money when we should have used it to pay off the levy bonds, and we used it to build the indoor pool. That money needs to be paid back, which in turn makes it debt. So now that we have an indoor pool, and as I said, I hope everybody goes to it. I hope there's lines outside that place. I hope traffic is backed up for miles. Let's stop telling falsehoods about how it was done. It doesn't do any good. You won. You got your pool. Why do we have to keep lying to people about it? There was no citizen vote. There's debt to be paid back. I just wanted to correct that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. Welcome, folks.
My name is Kevin Case, and I'm here as the president of the Church Council of Augustana Lutheran Church. We're in the process of appealing the decision of the Planning Commission for our conditional use permit in our hope to build a new sign for our church. So I think that'll be coming at a future meeting, but I wanted to at least introduce the council to what the process has been doing. It's been a year-long process here at the church. And I'd like to thank Diane and the planning department as she's kind of helped us through this process. But admittedly, I don't think we did a very good job in front of the planning commission with regard to all of the reasons that we think the sign is appropriate for both the neighborhood as well as the church. As I mentioned, it's been a year-long process with the church. And our only reason really, is to communicate with the neighborhood and the community of the various events that we host to support the fundamental needs of our neighbors. Anything from free groceries that we provide to free community meals and the opportunity to grow in their faith. But this is a picture of our original sign that is as it is right now. It's original to the building as far as we can tell, which is 1924. And it has the metal framing around it has rusted through to the point that it's impossible to change it or adjust it in any way. So we went through the process, and to make sure that we're a good neighbor, because we are in a residential neighborhood, that we've considered several different designs. And by code, we can have a sign that's as big as 50 square feet. Our sign that we ended up deciding on is only 28 square feet, which is not significantly different from the original sign that you see today. Why did I change the next one? One of the designs that satisfies all the sign codes is this one, which would be a manually changed sign, similar to what we have today, where you'd slide in the letters manually to change the message. At the end of the day, we felt that it would be difficult to continually get volunteers to change the sign, and then when it comes to poor weather, that's really more of a hassle than anything else. Finally, we've decided on having an electronic message board, which kind of brings us in front of the planning, or the planning commission, needing the electronic message board because we are in a residential area. Again, this would allow us to better communicate with the neighbors about what's going on at the church, and it alters the placement of it in the land. You can see it's perpendicular to the street rather than parallel to the street like our existing sign. And because we border the Cathedral Historic District, we're on 235 North Prairie. So we border the Cathedral District, and in wanting to be appropriate, we designed the sign to include elements of the building, of our original 1924 building, including the brick base, which mirrors the foundation stones on our building, and the dark red color mirrors the color of the brick on the building. Through the process, we held 2 neighborhood meetings over the summer to get input from the neighbors, as well as answer any questions or address any concerns they had. Between those 2 meetings in total, we had 3 non-church members come, only 3, and so it was difficult to communicate with the neighbors or to work with them in order to kind of solve any issues that they may have. But I think that we've done a very good job in trying to design the sign in a way that would be appropriate for the neighborhood. And we'd be willing, in order to continue to be a good neighbor, be willing to have conditions placed on our permit, such as making sure it dims as the light goes down. As the sun goes down and it gets darker, the sign would dim so it's not nearly as bright, and even to have it turn off at 10 p.m. So it's not going all night long. And then in addition to that, even limit the animation of it, which could potentially improve the safety measures around having that sign in a residential area. So I wanted to introduce that to you this evening, and look forward to having the opportunity to discuss it further. And I'd be willing to answer any questions you may have, but I don't think this is the forum for that. So, thank you.
Kevin, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Folks, did anybody else want to engage the council yet tonight? Welcome, sir. Sir, go right ahead.
My name is Tim Reason,
Hi, Tim.
and I have a picture to show you guys. Nope, wrong one. Do you have the picture? With my arm. There you go. This is from the Sioux Falls Police Department. This happened in April of this year. It happened at 111 East 10th Street, down at the clock tower at the Sioux Area Metro bus station. What happened was I passed out in the bus station because I got out of the hospital the day before, and I got barred for 6 months. And it resulted in me saying that they were not arresting me, they were not detaining me. I said, I'm free to go. They swirled me around, they grabbed me really hard, put one set of cuffs on me, and actually cut me open. Tracy Smith from the Public Defender's Office is the one that took this picture. I went down to Sergeant Ward, filed a complaint. I tried to call DCI. DCI would not get involved. 6 months later, I come back into town, and I was stranded about to come back down, and I asked what happened with this report. And I got told by Sergeant Ward and the captain that they deemed there was no excessive force used, so they let it go. I went to the mayor's office this morning and asked for a meeting with Mayor Heather. And every time I asked for a meeting with Mayor Heather, they get told no, I get denied. I had the former mayor and the former chief of police tell me to get the fuck out of town.
Tim.
Sorry about that.
Tim, you're officially done. Thank you. Folks, did anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome, Tim. And folks, the reason that I asked Tim to discontinue is that I think you all heard, and I apologize you had to hear that swear word. We're not going to tolerate that. I don't care what the public testimony is. If you can't be respectful, if you can't be halfway as professional, you're done. It's the way it's going to be. Tim, welcome, sir.
Tim Stanga, Sioux Falls. I stayed at home a couple weeks. I had car trouble one week when it was raining. And last week, I thought, you know, my sister's birthday, and I thought, you know, I'm gonna sit at home and watch the city council meeting. As I'm watching it, I just seen that there's a lot of dysfunction up here. When you watch how people treat other people, it's just a disgrace. In the morning, I went to work. I had a couple people that were at the meeting that were garbage haulers. And they asked me, first thing they asked me is, what's wrong with the mayor and the city council? Told them, I said, what do you mean by that? They seen how Teresa was being treated, which they thought was very rude. And I seen it on TV too. I always tell you guys, watch how you act on TV because people see it. Mr. Kiley, the looks that you were giving Teresa that night was, I mean, it was just unbelievable. You know, city council is hired by the citizens of Sioux Falls. They're here to be for the citizens of Sioux Falls and to speak for the citizens of Sioux Falls. They're not here to work for the city of Sioux Falls or the mayor's office. A lot of people realize that there's a few city council people that probably shouldn't be here today because there was either people that are on the city council or families of the city council or the mayor that gave money to the other side of the campaign. And then they want you to be a team player after everything is done, after they've spent their money on the other campaign to have the other person, well, hopefully they beat you, but the sad part about it is I think the other candidate that ran against Teresa was anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000, and he ended up on a committee. I guess that's what you get when you can't be on the city council, you're automatically put on a committee. You know, dysfunction. You can laugh all you want, Rex, because you're a big problem in this city council too. And I can point you out because you are laughing on how I'm talking, but the thing is, the citizens of Sioux Falls realize that you guys need 4 votes, and he was your 4th vote. You need 4 rubber stampers, and then the mayor can take over on the 5th. The citizens of Sioux Falls have seen that so many times that it isn't even funny. Realize that you work for the citizens of Sioux Falls, not the 10 people that you talk to.
Mr. Dennison, would you like to speak? Very good. Is there anybody who wanted to speak to the council? Anybody? Last call. Mr. Dennison, would you like to speak? Item 22.
Y'all come back now. Here.
Security, escort this gentleman out, please.
Come on, Soda Pop, let's go.